presence. That one together. What is vibing? This is Vish, and today I'll be talking to you about why you shouldn't rely on spiritual videos. Now, this might seem ironic, and this might seem contradictory because I make a lot of spiritual videos. I also don't mind the allergies, it's a little congestion present, but yeah, so it's going to be an interesting topic because of the experience that I have, as well as what I do with content right now. So, with that being said, it's let's talk about the journey that I've had, right, with spirituality, or the spiritual journey that it is. So, I got into meditation about 3 years ago. Started doing just simple guided meditations, chantings, and so on. Eventually worked my way up to doing from like 2 minutes to like 5 minutes to like 20 minutes a day, which was really definitely the peak at that time, relative peak. And this was with Headspace. So shouts out to Headspace for really allowing for that introduction. And it was beautiful, because it was almost like they provided training wheels for this journey, and they were guiding you, but it wasn't like too much of a, let's call it, over guiding, or there wasn't much under guiding, right? So they provided the training wheels to where you can ride the bicycle on your own, but you still have that support, that guidance. So very grateful for Headspace for providing for this initial journey, and I would definitely recommend it to you all. So with that being said, I might even make another video on Headspace, so let me just note that down, and appreciate your presence as I do that. Yeah, so thank you for your presence as you were being present and patient. So, started doing that, and eventually got more into the, as Sadhguru calls it, I was kind of becoming like a book yogi. So I found the first spiritual book which really just connected, and that was The Power of Now. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle was truly just very profound. It really sparked the opening of the eyes, if you want to call it that. And as I started reading that book, it really jump-started that journey. And then I started watching, I think, some Eckhart Tolle videos. The big series that I really got to enjoy was actually the one with Oprah, where it was called the New Earth series, where she essentially goes through each chapter with him. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It should be on Apple Podcasts, maybe Spotify, but I remember listening to it on Apple Podcasts, and the podcast app on the iPhone, that is. And it's, beautiful thing. He goes through it, and what I really loved about his spirituality practice and approach is it's more practical, very practical, right? Meaning it could seem a bit more esoteric to you, but at the same time, it's practical for practicing. That's what I mean. So it's very usable, and you don't have to be doing formal meditations or doing certain things like that. So it was beautiful to learn from him, and it's something that you can literally always use, right? The next one was I found Sadhguru. So Sadhguru, I just came across the videos, and he was a great guy, very cool, riding the motorcycle, and yeah, it was really nice to learn from him as well. And, him being like this cool yogi definitely attracted me, as well as the way he spoke. I mean, he said this himself, which is very beautiful. And I listened to this yesterday. It was, I think, with the talk with David Meltzer, if that's his name, if I said it right. And he essentially says, and he was questioned, or just even applauded for his speaking abilities and how he's able to connect with the simple man. And he says it in a very simple way. It's very humbling. It's so interesting. When you're speaking consciously, it is actually very humbling. Literally, there's no extra effort to be humble. It's just like your natural state. So he literally responded by saying that if you're not able to speak and connect with the person, what is the point of even speaking? So I very much resonated with that. So that really connected me as well with the way he talked, how he was able to share the wisdom. And then I began getting a bit more deeper into that, and I learned more from him, whether it was inner engineering. Just actually recently finished Karma, which was a beautiful book. I also have a book called Death, which is also by him, so that's in the list. And yeah, I just really started doing more practicing as well, whether it was through him. There's like this inner engineering crash course, so I started doing more prayers, more of like a spiritual practice, not like, asking for anything per se. Just more of like a devotional thing versus worshiping, more of a devotional thing. So I started doing more practicing like that from Sadhguru as well as Eckhart Tolle with regards to presence practicing. So that just, could be me standing on the grass, getting some grass steps, feeling the connection with nature, the grass, the trees, the flowers, and so on. So it was really beautiful. And this is the point of the video, maybe initially was a little clickbaity, but it is going to be important, and I'll tell you why I'm even sticking to this type of view, which is not even sticking, why I resonate with this view, which is why you shouldn't rely on spiritual videos. And I was kind of doing this, and it's really just as I was doing this whole journey, and it's been about, the spiritual journey has been more or less, I would say technically 3 years, because that's when I started meditation, but about 1 to 2 years has been the more in-depth journey, and so transcendence, if you want to call it that. And really, at the core, it's really just realizing that you don't want to just be a book yogi, as Sadhguru says. I think it's this beautiful thing I also learned from Ram Dass, and let me actually pull it up. I learned this from someone. Let's see. It's very powerful. Ram Dass talks about this. Yes, okay. The game isn't to end up a good meditator, but to end up free. The game isn't to end up a good Buddhist, it's to end up Buddha. The game isn't to end up a good Christian, but to end up Christ. The game isn't to end up loving, it's end up being love. Very simple, yet profound, and shouts out to Ram Dass for sharing that. And the same thing applies, right? You don't want to, it's not that you don't want to, but it's just not optimal to be the best book yogi. You can have all this knowledge about the wisdom and so on, but then you're just really enhancing the intellect, really, at the end, at the core. You want to really enhance and learn how to enhance that wisdom or the intelligence. Intelligence is different than intellect. Intellect is more or less at least from what I've realized, is, pursuing a PhD or just being very smart at coding and so on, right? Having an abundance of knowledge, that's all your intellect. But intelligence is a lot more vast. That is what connects to the deeper intelligence that even operates within you or operates within the universe. When you connect with that, and that can only be done through practicing and being more, active rather than just passive and reading and watching stuff, that is where the magic happens, if you want to call it that. It's really not magic, but it's just the term I'm using right now to present this. So it really comes down to realizing that, which is read, and that's okay. Read the Bhagavad Gita, read The Power of Now, read Inner Engineering, watch Sadhguru, watch all these beautiful people. But at the end, you want to be making sure you're practicing and not just reading. And that is the real biggest takeaway I've had so far. It's really all about finding like a little balance. And, because when you read these things, it might open up certain windows in the mind, which will help accelerate your practice. But if you were to just spend all day meditating in a way, not going to say that that's not going to be optimal either, but if you've been initiated into certain practices, definitely would recommend maybe certain things like that on a special day. But more or less what I'm trying to get at is you just watching spiritual videos and reading spiritual books, it's really just not going to be optimal again for your true development. It's almost like this, and I learned this from Eckhart Tolle, which is beautiful. You can read a whole book on honey. You can write a whole PhD thesis paper on honey. You can talk all you want about honey. You can dream about honey, but it's a whole different experience when you taste honey and you digest honey and your body reaps the benefits of honey. That is the key here. The same thing applies to spirituality. So hopefully this helps. Appreciate you taking the time. Make it a great day. Take it joyfully. Presence. Now one together. Stay conscious. Ecstasy.